arrested for criminal trespass, subsection B of ORS 164.205.3 permits him to defend against the charge on the ground that ORS 659.425, which prohibits discrimination against handicapped persons in places of public accommodation, makes the manager's order unlawful. If the manager had the authority to direct the patron to leave the restaurant, the exercise of the authority is limited by the prescription forbidding discrimination against handicapped persons. That the discrimination statute may have been violated by the order to leave is a proper inquiry in a criminal trespass trial. So, that's where we're at. That if they use if they're violating, the thing I read into it is that they're violating the laws against discrimination. They're violating the laws, and that's bad. That's bad.
That's bad. The thing too, though, I mean, the way I look at it, and I don't know if it's important to say this, but like I look at it as an evangelistic thing. It's like, have you read the word of Jesus? Have you heard the word? No, have you accepted the word? Have you come to Jesus? Like, have you accepted this? And the federal system isn't accepted. A lot of states have a renegade status, and it's even Civil War type mentality. Like, why the hell is there a Confederate flag flying across the street from me? Tell me that. These freaking hillbillies out here. No, but they don't know what it means, whatever. But I think a lot of that tension between states' rights includes the tension towards disabled people because they're not accepting any kind of like federalization of anything. Like, they are resisting arrest. They are resisting the feds. And the feds are bad and the feds are evil, and I get that. But it kind of makes the federal profits, or like the profits of the ADA, are already we're in a little bit of a struggle with more forces than we can imagine. But I think the other one being basically genuine eugenics type thinking. Like, one thing that I discovered with my friend out in Astoria, or my so-called friend, is she's like, basically, eventually they'll just admit, well, we're bitter that you get to live. I'm a public intellectual. My perceived disabilities allow me to be an intellectual. That's all I ever wanted to do with my life, right? So people feel jealous of that, and they essentially have resentments based on that. And I think even like the guy who sexually attacked me, maybe he was jealous of my life. I have a good life because I'm not controlled by a master. I'm not covering up a corruption scandal at a park district, for instance. Like, I get to walk away with my ethics, because my ethics are disabling. I have disabling ethics. Like, I don't like harassment. I don't like corruption. I don't like bullies. I don't like thieves. I might be shouting. I better not shout. See, I love where I live, but I don't know the people here.
So the briefs, my briefs, I know you put those on.
Yeah.
You uploaded those, and part of the deal with that is I was reading the transcript of the video, like you were reading part of my city hall rant. Well, the transcript of that has me saying that Amanda Fritz left me broke, sick, and homeless, and then James Wood, the city security guard, he testified that I said broke, sick, and hungry, and then the state's reply to our successful brief says, quote, as drug sick and hungry.
Oh no. Oh no.
What?
Drunk, sick, and hungry?
Drug. D-R-U-G.
D-R-U-G.
Drug sick.
Drug sick. Oh, drug sick. Oh, that's terrible. I just thought of it. Okay, no. You know, my brain has certain time. I'm getting to the time of night when all I want to do is like read a fashion blog. Like as my brain gets tired, I just want to read about a smoothie recipe and like a fashion blog and what did Kate Moss wear to the latest party. And I just become, I'm not saying become an airhead, but I can say that and mean it nicely. So I'm going to call this clinging to the last threads of the nanny state. Clinging to the last threads of the nanny state. I am hilarious. No, I think the district attorney wants me to be in a forced marriage with the attacker because he's such a good match for me. If I could just civilize him.
Well, what's the metric equivalent of the Stockholm syndrome, the Oslo syndrome?
No, that's what I was blogging about this morning. I was blogging about the Stockholm syndrome I have for the judge. I have Stockholm syndrome for the judge. You know what I'm saying? No?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's captive.
Because she's what?
She's captive.
Oh, wow. Hey, what's up with Constance Cooker?
Constance Picker?
Cooker. C-R-O-O-K-E-R.
Constance Cooker? That's a good one. That's not the Constance I know. Barry's eating.
She's down your way.
Constance Cooker.
Or dead.
A lifestyle blog. Constance Cooks. Constance Fry Cookery. Bitter Melons.
No, Crooker.
Crooker. Is she married to the Crooker cop? I know that Crooker.
Well, she used to give presentations when we were doing the marijuana initiative as a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So we could understand the finer points of what the crimes were.
Mm-hmm. That's neat.
So we didn't do stupid things like have 1.1 ounce, so it's a felony.
Oh, yeah.
And be found not guilty. Oh, here's what we gotta do. It's a big leap. The state of Oregon and the Multnomah County District Attorney both know through Dr. Grimm's testimony that I was found not guilty of a felony charge.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I have a debilitating medical condition.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to kind of take judicial notice of that.
Mm-hmm. It's raining outside now. Hey, wow, my cold feet. I like it cold. It's cold on this side. Okay, cool. Constance Crooker, in memoriam. Oh, so she was this lovely. Here she is, her in memoriam. She's lovely. She died April 10th, 2015 in Portland. Do you know that? She's dead? Sie ist tot, meine Liebe. Read.u. This is September 2015 read. Obituaries. I'm putting this in your blog too. Because you are a treasure trove. And this is like, it's like effectively like a scrap blog in addition to a law blog. It's things that are important to things that are important to you, that are peripheral, whatever. Yeah, so you are now publishing Constance Helen Crooker, 69, JD, Practice Criminal Defense, Hispanic Community. This is the same lady, right? Retired legal practice, criminal law. Study language, criminal jury trial, musical naivete, gun control and gun rights, art of legal interpretation. Oh, nice. You know what? Okay, can I tell you a funny story? My grandma, I told grandma, somehow I'd heard of Reed by the time I'm 16, right? So I tell grandma I want to go to Reed because my grandfolks live in Oregon and I think I'll get to see my grandparents. So it sounds brilliant, like it's going to work out. And she says to me, I was like, well, let's go to Reed because I'm visiting and I wanted to just visit it. And my grandma she puts on her best red coat, like her Nancy Reagan looking coat, and she's going to drive me over there. And then as I'm talking with her, I think on the way there or right before we got in the car, she's like, you're not going to go to that communist school. I was like, way to go, Grandma. I wish she'd kept me from going to that other communist school, but oh well, the indoctrination's got to start somewhere. You know what okay, Barry, this is kind of meta, okay? But like my other realization is that all these pivotal struggles they're pre-McCarthy, early foundations of the 20th century, the fight against communism, okay? Because the thing is that socialism sounds nice, like free candy for everybody, but when we have these abusive clusters of abusive power, they're operating like little socialized power networks, and the disruptors have to go in and break up that corruption, but ultimately that corruption is running on the facade of like socialist utopia or semi-blended socialist utopia, but it's not functional socialist utopia, which there isn't ever really. So I kind of realized that my grandpa's little side job, which was hunting for communists in the 1930s in San Diego before the war, that I have that legacy with me. And while I may seem like the most hippie socialist, hippy dippy person because I love Sweden and everything, I'm so aware of these like deeply corrupted projects where basically a community center is communism. A community center is a communalized resource. A library, like I would say our library is better run than our community center because our library tries to be free for all and tries not to discriminate and tries to, keep up their respectability. But our community center is currently communism gone awry because it's just welfare for the employees and no community center for the community. So what is it? It's a veneer, and it's basically a constructed fiction that is existing to make the public think there is a community center that deserves all this funding. Or just like a government is role playing, like I even have this theory about administration of justice that the court system isn't actually administering justice or dealing with crime. They're creating an illusion that they're dealing with crime by having a few strategic cases placed as sort of a facade against what is the greater reality of chaos and anarchy and tragedies and all this stuff that's happening. So don't interfere with the justice system by trying to get them to do their job, because their job is actually just pretending to do their job because it's a facade, and they are also on the dole, which I figured this out with my mentor down in California. I was just like, wow, that's why the defense lawyers don't really defend anyone, because they're just picking up their ticket, maintaining their crony network, getting their paycheck, eating their sandwich. They are just doing a job. They're not really engaged necessarily. So seeing through systems, I guess.
Yahoo!
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what I actually get into the court on Wednesday.
Man, Wednesday. What time is court?
It's a deadline.
What morning court or afternoon court?
I don't have to file. I file my motion, serve it on the district attorney, and I'm out. And then they get a week to get theirs in. And then we go in front of the judge to get sent out to the judge. And then we know what judge there is on the 30th to go in front of that judge on the 31st.
Yeah.
And my motion to dismiss the bus incident was evidence proves that I was a crime victim on the public transit in the priority seating.
Yeah.
Identified as such. And,
Barry,
because of,
I have a big question. Can you go onto the internet portal of the Department of Justice and make a crime victims compensation claim before you go into court and print out a verification that you made a claim?
What?
Go on to the Oregon Department of Justice Crime Victims Compensation portal. Make an application, which it's like 3 sentences, just a tiny little blurb about what happened to you. Submit it, attach any evidence that you think you can submit or attach, and submit it to the DOJ. And when you go before the judge, explain, I am a victim of a crime. I have submitted a crime victims compensation form to the Oregon Department of Justice. I will need counseling and medical care to be covered by the state because I'm a victim of a crime. It's just an idea. It adds body.
Well, I'm a victim of a crime because the cop tossed me to the sidewalk. But I was in custody for about 3 weeks, and I never got a chance to order the video.
Yeah.
That the Portland Police Bureau Justice Center sidewalk security cameras would have captured. And I suggest if things would have happened the way that the officer's report said, they'd have that video. If I actually did what they said happened, what the hell? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm really here.
I don't know what I did with my phone. Oh, I know what I did. This is ridiculous.
You're still on it, though. Evidently.
Yeah. My phone. It's in my front left pocket of my pants. And I didn't know it was there because I've got these silly headphones on. Or, earbuds, I guess we call them.
Earbuds that are talking to it wirelessly, perchance? I haven't got them.
Everything's tethered. I had to unplug the phone charger so I could go in the kitchen and get yesterday's Chinese food so I didn't die.
Yeah. I'm happy about that.
Like a college student.
I love it that you're not dying. That's one of my favorite things. Oh my God. So I guess what also happens with YouTube, here's a fun thing, is basically because I'm recording my face when I'm talking to you, Barry Joe, probably our Google indexing will merge. Or my face will come up when we look for Barry Joe. So you got to work on maybe, I don't know, more videos? Let's do more videos. Oh, getting old. My hip pain is really weird to me because I feel like I did it to myself just by sitting the wrong way. It's almost that thing where you're really flexible and stuff can pop out of joint, but it shouldn't, or it shouldn't when it's the wrong. I had that happen to a shoulder a few weeks ago too. That was not good. But then I fixed my shoulder by doing lots of yoga, messed up my back in the process, and now I've messed up my hip, which is partly because I have this theory that getting up and down off the floor is more healthy because you know how old folks can't do that? So I'm try to be like more Japanese style, like sitting on the floor or on a futon or something. And ooh, God, it's just been a rough couple of months with like too much moving stuff going on. Oh my God. What kind of music are you listening to lately? Nothing. Okay, I want to sing you a song.
I'm down on music right now.
Down on it? Like over it? Don't want to hear it no more?
Yeah, I got my college degree. Who needs it? No, actually, I was playing. I've got my keyboard, and I've got it permanently plugged in, so all I have to do is turn the switch and put it on my lap and start playing whatever voices. I usually go straight for the organ.
Where'd that song?
Be an organ player.
Wow, where did that Wilma song come from? That was so great. That Wilma song?
Hmm?
That was great, but where did that come from? What is it? Or is it an old traditional, or was it an impromptu, or?
What, the mandolin thing? No, that's just me and shit together. Yep, that's just me putting shit together. It's
yeah.
I don't know. Nobody plays the way I do, and I don't even know if I do anymore. Yeah, I could probably play that song.
Do you know? Okay, YouTube has a cutoff point of 15 videos at a time now. It used to be more. Well, I think they keep changing it, but like they're gonna cut me off once I add 5 more videos to my chain of YouTubes. Then what I was doing last week was I was uploading so many old videos, not that many, just like 400 or something, but like they're trying to cut me down to 15 at a time. Then you have to check back and restart it because I think it used to be more like at least 20 or something, 25, or like it was so high that oh my god, like I have unmarked videos from like 2014 that are just not ever marked, and they exist, you know. I know that they exist if I needed them. But one thing, I remember that little kid who got killed, that Sean Keelahair guy. He was this little kid who got like run over in front of that cider riot place. I've never been.
Oh yeah.
I have like tons of YouTube of him. I have tons of YouTube of him from a Mark Kruger protest. Oh yeah, hell yeah. And I knew it was him. But the thing is I knew he was a teenager from high school. I never talked to him, you know? And he had this like, I'm a real activist, so you don't know my name because I'm a real activist. And I was like, whoa, I respect his energy. He was just like very professional, very decentralized, very cellular. And I was like way cool on him. And the last time I saw him was like my last day in Portland, because I had just happened to score all these World War II history books, and I was sitting there at City Hall, like and Trump's just been elected, and I'm sitting there with all these like creepy World War II books, just almost like I'm at a book stall or something, and he comes up to look at them, kind of like, yeah, this is like pretty highly relevant at all times, and it was just like it was to me completely understood and cool that he was like super anti-fascist. In the old meaning of the word, not in the Fox News meaning of the word. Yeah. Which I do not use it. And, you know, I'm actually I'm following, I like communicate with some conservative libertarian type people. And I kind of like, I'm a weird dabbler. I feel like I'm interested in what people have to say or where are they coming from, or like more like from a sociological angle. And you can't be factionary if you're sociological, right? You're like, oh, I'm interested in your perspective, but what is your perspective? And people I follow and like, I disagree with, but I don't know. I just it's not that I'm neutral. Nobody's ever neutral, but I don't know. What is that? Yeah. I'm not saying like, oh God, I don't know. People annoy me really quick. I don't know. Twitter's kind of its own little dungeon of hotheads. Okay, what was I doing? Not talking. Barry Joe stole you 5.
Yeah. What?
Okay, so we've got 5, 8, 6, 2, 3. So where's 7? I need 7. There's 9. So I need 7 and 1. Where are they? There's 5. 5 is on its way up. So Here's my little system. I can click out of it if it's on its way up. What's this one? Buried stull 2. Buried stull 2 is not on its way up. It is. Okay, then I will click out of it. You know who I really liked as a filmmaker was Ingmar Bergman. Did you ever see any of that? Well, it just
Like what?
it made me fall in love with like Scandinavia and all of that. And the 60 see my mom had to take like a film class and she hated it, but she talked about it like it was memorable. And all the weird psychedelic dramatic stuff they were doing in film in the 60s and 70s, my mom just found it like flamboyant kind of, but I think she was moved by it. So for some reason I grew up watching a little Ingmar Bergman. And sometimes, well, for instance, my dad also was like a Andy Warhol fan, like had a huge amount of Andy Warhol stuff. And I was reading Andy Warhol's diaries, and they were like extremely influential to me. Like I realized too that when the video revolution happened with everyone in their cameras, Andy was already doing that. He was just recording the boring, like true cinema verite. He was like recording the boringness of life, and sort of like, oh God. You know what I understood today was when you called, I was reading that crazy, like, crazy rant on driedsalmon.proboards.com about Thomas M. Kelly, the um, possible child molester or convicted child molester on his third appeal. And I was feeling that the anger that the judge tried to take out on me that I got in my landlord case yesterday was actually like, no, 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 no. She's letting me know that the judicial people have this extreme prejudice against any internet people because there are these really harassy, inflammatory internet things. But I'm like, no, 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 I'm not that. But she sees that because she's looking through her spectacles that help her see that. But I literally felt almost sorry for her. Like the judge, you know, my Stockholm syndrome with the judge is she just issued a cry for help. The malicious internet campaign. And I'm like what, for instance? And then I'm like finding it the next day. And I'm like, like her little hint was like, look at what we go through. Do you know how hard our job is? And it is hard, I think.